What is up, internet? I'm here to show you a video tutorial on how to remove the clock capacitor from the Xbox. The Xbox, at least versions 1.0 to 1.5, have a design flaw in them where they have a clock capacitor that keeps the date and time. So whenever you turn it on, it always has the date and time ready to show. And that would actually be located in this bottom left corner of the front. Problem with these capacitors is that they have a 100% chance of failing, just because of time. All the power is strained, and a major problem with that is after the capacitor dies, it can leak acid onto the board, and what will happen is that acid will eat through the board and eventually destroy your Xbox. So I'm here to show you a tutorial on how to remove it. As a side note, this procedure is only for Xboxes that have the 1.0 to 1.5 boards or motherboards, and I'll show you once I open it up how to tell the difference between them. What you'll be needing are torque 10 and torque 20 screwdrivers. So as you can see, T10 and T20. Yeah, it's not focusing, but either way, T10 and T20. Next, you will also need some pliers, and if there is any acid leakage, make sure to have some cotton swabs and rubbing alcohol. So first, you want to turn over your Xbox and peel off these rubber feet. There will be 4 rubber feet. And you will have 6 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's going to be one underneath this tab that says Xbox Video Game System, and one over here where it has the manufacturing date and the barcode. So now, for this part, you will need a torque 20 screwdriver for this. Once you have all 6 screws taken out, just put them off into a safe place, and then just turn over your Xbox and remove the top part, and you can put that to the side. And then next, you'll have the top part of the insides. Right here is your disk drive, right here is your hard drive. So what you want to do is disconnect this cable like so, and next you will need a torque 10 screwdriver, and you'll have points here, right there in that little hole, and down that little corner there too. Once all 3 screws are unscrewed, you will first take out the hard drive, and to do that, just loosen these cables from the little hooks, and then remove the whole shell which the hard drive is screwed onto. Like so. And it'll be like this. If you want, you can also unplug the power from the hard drive. However, it is a little tricky just because it's very tight. And then back to the hard drive. All you do is, well, first off, make sure this cable is unplugged from the hard drive, and you'll have a yellow cable for power plugged into the hard drive, so make sure you disconnect that too. Alright, so once you have this yellow cable unplugged from here, all you do now is lift the disk drive out. Here we have it right there. It will be attached to this plastic piece, which you can simply pull from here and then lift out, but that is not really required unless you haven't opened up your Xbox before and you want to clean out the disk drive, clean a laser, whatever. And now we have the insides, the motherboard. Now, this is how you tell whether this is a 1.0 to 1.5 board or a 1.6. Now, a 1.0 to 1.5 has this fan on top of the heatsink, which is either the CPU or the GPU, and then you have this normal heatsink grill for the whatever, if it's either the CPU or the GPU. So, if you look at a 1.6 board, it will not have this fan. Instead, it'll have another heatsink similar to this, but in rows, and it'll be much higher than this. So that's how you tell. Okay, so now, like I said, the clock capacitor will be located in the bottom left corner. And if I can just zoom in, here's the clock capacitor. Let me get a screwdriver to point it to you. You'll be looking for this right here. This right here is the clock capacitor. It'll have these two little white circles around it on the board, and it should say 2.5 volts. So, so far it doesn't look like there's any leakage, which is good considering this is a launch model Xbox. I did have another Xbox which I disassembled. It was from 2002 and it already had leakage. Now, what you can do is disassemble the board completely and remove it and take the clock capacitor out. So I will do that and I'll be right back. As a side note, you will need a T10 screwdriver, torque 10, for unscrewing all the screws. Alright, so now I'm going to be taking apart the motherboard. There will be 11 screws that you'll need to take out. I've already taken out them for you. And next you'll have to disconnect some stuff. So first off, take this cable out, which will be right here. And you will also have to disconnect this little red portion here that is connected to the fan. There. And you will also need to disconnect the two controller ports, so there and there, and also this main power cable that connects to the power supply. Yes. So and just to let you know, taking out the cables that connects to the power supply is very tough. You can use pliers for it, however, don't try to break it, or else you'll have no power feeding from the power supply to the motherboard. I'll actually cut this right now. Alright, so once everything is disconnected, you can now lift the motherboard out. Actually, there's still the power and eject button still connected to the board. Let me take that out quickly. There. Now, you lift from the front gently and you pull towards yourself. Keep in mind you'll have the AV and the Ethernet ports all the way in the back, a little hesitant to come out, and make sure to be delicate with the board. Alright, so now once you have the board out, like I said, you'll need to search for this right here. This is the clock capacitor, and so far maybe there has been a little leakage. If your console is dusty and you see the color of your dust is a little off, then certainly dust has been contaminated with the acid, but whatever. So in order to take out this capacitor, you can do one of two methods. Either desolder it from the bottom of the board, or you can take some pliers and just take it out the quick and simple, easy way. Alright, now for the removal of the clock capacitor. So I'm going to zoom in and show you. Now, when taking this out with pliers, make sure to wiggle it around, try to loosen, and if you hear a snap, then that means the solder has broken, but try not to rush things. You don't want any accidents to occur. And try not to break any of the other capacitors around. And there we go, it's out. So just to show you, here's the capacitor. And here's the bottom. The camera focuses. Yeah, camera sucks. Anyways, this is the capacitor. It's out. Let's take a look at the area, if there has been any leakage. So far, maybe there was a little spill, but that's nothing to worry about. Now, just for let's see. Just in case, get some rubbing alcohol. You can also take vinegar and cotton swabs, and then just clean the area out. So right now, taking a cotton swab, getting it filled with rubbing alcohol, and clean the area. Now, if you're worried about the after effects of removing the clock capacitor, do not worry. You'll get the same effect as if you had a clock capacitor already in the console. The purpose of the capacitor, again, is once you turn on your console for the first time and put in the time and date, it will keep that saved. However, once that clock capacitor dies, then every time you unplug the console from a power source and plug it back in, it's gonna reset and it'll ask you to put the date and time again. So once you take the clock capacitor out, it will not break the console, nothing will happen. So this is just a quick little mod and fix for your Xboxes, and this is highly recommended no matter what. If you have Xboxes from version 1.0 to 1.5, which I believe are the consoles manufactured between launch 2001 until probably 2004, definitely do this procedure. That way your Xbox will not break down in the future. And it's very simple. I mean, you don't even have to desolder it. You could just take it out with pliers. And if your console did have any acid leakage, I know the other Xbox I did it on already had dried acid on the board. Very simple. Just remove the clock capacitor, take some rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip, and clean the whole area. And then with the dry end, just wipe the whole area. And there. So now the clock capacitor is removed, the board is clean, it's safe, and your Xbox won't be prone to breaking down due to battery acid. So now you can put the console back together. If your console is very dusty, take the advantage of cleaning it as well. If your disk drive is dirty or having long loading reads, take the time to clean the laser lens as well. You can also use rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip to clean the laser, so it will take less time reading discs and won't have any problem. But anyways, now it's gonna be back to assembling the console. Excuse me. Alright, once you've gently placed your motherboard back onto the console, next you'll need to put back the 11 screws onto the motherboard. Depending on which version motherboard you have, it may vary on how many screws there is, but this is a launch model, most likely a 1.0 motherboard, so 11 screws. And also to plug in the stuff such as the fan, the power supply, controller ports, and the power and eject button, and also the this ribbon cable for the disk drive and the hard drive. Alright, once you have your motherboard screwed in, next is to put the disk drive and make sure the plastic piece is there, and also make sure you have the screws for the front two corners. I already have mine in just because it's a little tricky trying to put them on after putting the disk drive in. So make sure it is in properly, and take the yellow power cable here and plug it into the back along with this ribbon cable. There and there. And might as well put in the screws now. There. And then put the hard drive in. To do that, make sure you put the power cable through the hooks, and then slide the hard drive in. There. Put the power cables through the hooks, and then plug the cord into the hard drive, and then take the ribbon cable and plug it into your hard drive. And then take the last of the 3 screws and screw it right here. And then put the ribbon through that hook, and then you're set. Take your cover and put it back on, and then flip the console over, and you can put the screws back in. So I will pause here. Alright, so once you have all 6 screws put in, you can take the rubber feet and put them back in place. If they don't seem to stick, it's okay to take some Elmer's glue, for example, and glue it on. And the old glue on the Xbox will eventually start working, just because this machine is so heavy that it'll press the feet back onto the bottom of the system. Then we are set. Now we can go test it out. Alright, I'm back. So before testing out the Xbox, just wanted to show out, if you weren't clear, based on me not having any images or a 1.6 board myself. So this is a 1.0 board, for example. So right here would be the heatsink, and right here is the other heatsink for either the CPU or the GPU, and it will have this fan here, like you saw on my Xbox, which is a launch model. This is a 1.6 board. So right here you have the same heatsink, however you have this grill-like heatsink here and no fan. So once you see this, you know that it's not a 1.0 or a 1.5 board. Instead, it's a 1.6 board or above. And just to make it clear again, these boards do not require the clock capacitor removal like the other boards. So I think these boards came out in around 2004. So just an estimate, but other than that, this is a 1.6 board and that's a 1.0 board. Alright, now we're at the TV and we're going to check if the Xbox works, which I guarantee will because I've done this before with another Xbox. So and there we go. See, so it's gonna ask for the time and date. Just press A, whatever, and there you have a working Xbox over here. So clock. This is just the time it automatically sets to when there is no clock capacitor or if the battery runs out. But yeah. So, as you can see, the clock capacitor removal was a success. The Xbox works, and there's no chance of it failing unless God knows what will happen. But other than that, here's to a success. The Xbox is now a reliable system, even though it's already reliable. Clock capacitor's out, so just to say again, Xboxes with clock capacitors, they have a 100% chance of failing, and those clock capacitors will die just because of time, and they will guarantee you they will begin to leak, and acid will spill onto the board, and that acid will start eating away the board, and the console will just break and not work anymore just because the motherboard's damaged and broken by acid. This will work. Nothing will happen to the Xbox upon removing it, and if you were to disconnect it from a power source, then the date and time will reset if you were to put a date and time, but nothing will severely damage your Xbox. It's just a quick simple mod just so your console will not break down in the future. But anyways, thank you all for watching and have a good one.